Outriders is an anomaly in video games. You have this culture of gaming that feels washed out with ideas. It must be like Fortnite. It must be trying to copy Destiny. It has to keep up with weekly content to succeed. Average player counts, investors, dead game, lol. If it's not #1 on Twitch, how can it succeed? If it's not the talk of the town, it must have failed. If it's not the top seller for Square Enix, it must be bad. No. Outriders set out with a goal and for a very specific crowd, which is its greatest strength and ultimately its greatest weakness. This is the type of game that was insanely popular 10 years ago, and it has come back to life with Outriders, and especially WORLDSLAYER. Outriders is like the kid in school that knew exactly what they wanted to be when they grew up and followed that path. It's a game that shouldn't even exist in 2022, but it does, and not only does it exist with a brand new DLC. WORLDSLAYER. WORLDSLAYER set out to improve every facet of the previous year of Outriders. So if you weren't sold on Outriders in the past, but like parts of the game, then I recommend you give this DLC a shot. If you do or don't recall my previous feelings towards Outriders, I recommend you go watch that video. Outriders wasn't made for everyone. It was made for a crowd that wanted a specific game and for a community of players that had been missing a grind and chase. There was a lot of feedback from a vast amount of players, so how does WORLDSLAYER remedy these pieces of feedback and deliver an experience worth your time and money? Is WORLDSLAYER the forever changing piece of content the way that the Taken King was for Destiny? No. No, it's not. But it's also not trying to be. WORLDSLAYER is building on a formula it already knows how to make. WORLDSLAYER improves on everything from the previous year. There's almost no noticeable bugs. There were only a couple of server problems on day one of an always online game, which should be seen as a victory in modern day gaming. The story has improved, the environments are much more engulfing, and the loop is where Outriders has improved the most. A lot of people will try to compare a game like Outriders to Destiny and Borderlands, and while I can see the guns and loot being a part of the comparisons, Outriders is closer to Diablo and even Stardew Valley in its loop, and this DLC all but solidified that. Before I get ahead of myself, let's talk about the DLC from the start to the finish, and how the community of Outriders felt about WORLDSLAYER, a DLC that is one large anomaly in 2022. Thank you to Square Enix for sponsoring this video. WORLDSLAYER is currently out now, and if it sounds fun to you, it's on every platform except Etch-a-Sketch, unfortunately. WORLDSLAYER even includes the original Outriders too, so anyone who purchases WORLDSLAYER can purchase the digital upgrade. There's even a demo you can play for WORLDSLAYER if you want to dip your toes in, and your progress will carry over into the main game. I have a link down below if this sounds like something you'd be interested in. Some footage in this video is from players around the community. Their links will be in the description of this video, as well as the music too. So, Outriders on day one. How did it go? Let's talk campaign. The story starts off in this winter tundra of Enoch where we meet Appa. Zucchini tells us there are ice storms that are freezing everything on the planet, as evidenced by birds just dropping out of the sky frozen. Even the big frogs are leaving. The story is pretty black and white, as we need to find out what's causing the storms, so we go on an adventure through a ghost town, which still keeps that Outriders beautiful dialogue.
All ghosts for our ghost town! I'm a goddamn ghost, you ECA fuck! Now, how about I turn you into one?
Journey to the Black Gulch and see the villain, Gsxrclyde. Yeah, the name is a little tough, but I like her moves with the anomaly power making a throne out of her own hair. I wouldn't know that one all too well. I like that the villain is at least present and establishes stakes for us unlike the main game, so improvement and credit where it's due. It may be vanilla, but at least it's a step forward. We then go back to the winter tundra where Tiago wouldn't stop making this face. Man is having the best time of his life, and honestly, we all deserve this man's happiness. We meet another new enemy, the Descent Skinwalkers, and I like their moves. They fly and attack, but I wish they had some tricked out villain the way the previous level had with Executioners and the Fishermen. Instead, we just fight mobs until we get to the best visual area in the entire game.
This whole environment, this whole level has been very Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Here we meet Otara Utuma, the Pack Shaman, who is easily the best character in Outriders. She offers us tea, which our character throws into the fire like a dickhead. Don't you... Oh my god! You fuck it. I hope we die now. And she tells us she can make paradise for us for a while if we get a shard. We then try to make peace. Shira gets killed by Aresh. We chase Aresh down. We kill Aresh, learn to control our anger. Civilization is saved, and that's the story. The story can be seen as a short one or a long one, depending on what level of difficulty you're playing on. If you're playing on an easier world tier, you're looking at about 3 to 6 hours. And if you're playing on an at level or higher world tier, you're looking at 6 to 10 hours. In my time with WORLDSLAYER, I have sunk 24 hours into my first character with a lot more hours to go on my ults, and also I need to max out my main character. I have already sunk close to 100 hours into the original game, and already had my builds from that time ready to go to start WORLDSLAYER. I chose Pyromancer because who doesn't like casting volcanoes and popping everything around me? The quality of life improvements cannot be more appreciated here. There is a full transmog for no cost. The UI is great as ever. There's more upgrades with PAX points from beating a campaign to make your character a Slayer, and passive points just to level up. If the rest of the game improved from the year before, the endgame loop has too, with Apocalypse tiers and gear. The tiers go all the way up to 40, and it will take you a minimum of 100 hours to reach tier 40 per character. It's a grind! The gear and weapons have an intrinsic slot of Apocalypse mods that are completely random and cannot be changed at the bottom, meaning that if you want something great, you need to grind it out and pray to RNGesus. Something missing from other games I really like to play. This system would work a lot better if upgrading gear wasn't so expensive, because just as cool as it is upgrading tiers, it is lessened by knowing you have to upgrade 8 total pieces to enjoy the next one, or just drop your fun build for later. The cost needs to go way down here.
So in WORLDSLAYER, they're making it so there's like a roguelite component. It's kind of, you have like a map, and like each map represents a section, and you can choose where to go on the map, and apparently every time you come in it's different. So it's a very cool looking way to do the end game that I already liked.
The Trial of Taria Gritar was the promised endgame activity of WORLDSLAYER, but if you're not into seeing big numbers and constantly upgrading levels to see more big numbers, then this isn't for you. Remember what I said in the beginning of this video, that Outriders is one note? This endgame just serves to build on that note. While there's plenty of fantastic legendary weapons and armor with new mods to slot that make the grind to kill more enemies a lot faster and a lot easier, it's these reasons of optimizations that I compare this DLC to something like Stardew Valley, then a game like Destiny. Outriders is still missing something bigger to justify these hours. The Trial of Taria Gritar is a nice dungeon crawl where you can focus which piece of loot you're looking for and take on 2 unique bosses with 4 boss fights total. The trial may offer a lot of new content for Outriders, but I only wanted more. Each of these rooms drops pools of loot, but I just found killing the bosses to be much faster than doing the side rooms. This DLC provided so much of what made Outriders special, but I kept licking my lips at what there was to come. And I won't spoil the ending for you, but I'll just say, I hope they get another DLC next year. So once you complete the campaign and the 1 dungeon crawl, you're left to grind over and over again. It's a massive improvement. I just kept wanting more of what made Outriders fun. That is Outriders WORLDSLAYER, a DLC that is really just a more refined and less bulky Outriders experience. The story and environments are improved, the grind for max level is stronger, the legendaries are more unique, the quality of life and UI is just as strong as before, there's a transmog for no cost, the endgame has a clear goal for reaching Apocalypse tier 40, and for the Outriders community, this one has been seen as a nice improvement in most ways. The servers are stable, the bugs that literally ripped everything from your character are gone, the power fantasy is there for the taking, and there's just more Outriders. Listen, there was a lot of improvements made with WORLDSLAYER, and if this is not the type of game you usually play, well then I recommend the demo, or the base game itself with a full campaign, a bunch of expeditions, and an endgame activity in the Eye of the Storm. If you want to give it a shot, and if you're looking for some summer fun to fill a gap for other titles, then I recommend you click the link in the description for a direct download to Outriders. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, have a wonderful day.